everyone. My name is Renee Richard. I am the founder and executive director of Cinnamongirl Incorporated. Cinnamongirl is a leadership development organization providing access, experiences, and a network of professionals who work directly with our girls, inspiring them to be the visionaries our world needs. Our organization serves over 100 girls every single year. And of those that we serve, many of them will be in the Bay Area's book talks. We have an amazing talk cultivated and curated from our girls and the questions they have for these authors. I know this will be a conversation that you'll enjoy. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about Cinnamongirl, please visit us on the web at cinnamongirl.org. And with that, I am delighted to bring you just a few of my beautiful girls.
Welcome to the Bay Area Book Festival's virtual festival. My name is Misa Sugiura, and I am the author of This Time Will Be Different and the upcoming Love and Other Natural Disasters. And I'm so excited to be talking with the amazing students of Write Your Story, which is a year-long writing program for girls of color in the Bay Area, with the Bay Area Book Festival in collaboration with Cinnamongirl, which is an Oakland-based grassroots organization that supports girls of color destined for greatness. And I am going to let these fabulous, talented young ladies start off and introduce themselves a little bit. If you can tell us your name, your age, and a favorite book, and then we'll just kind of get rolling from there. So let's start with Mariah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mariah. I'm 14, and my favorite book is The Hate You Give.
I love that book. That's amazing. Everyone should read it. Jolie, how about you? I'm just introducing you.
Hi, I'm Jolie Wilson. I am 15, and my favorite book is also The Hate You Give.
It's a popular one. And finally, Giselle.
Hi, I'm Giselle. I'm 15, and my favorite book is Twilight.
A classic. Well, thank you, everybody. We're going to do one more quick round robin. I want everyone to know that the Write Your Story program, the girls in the Write Your Story program are publishing an anthology, and we'll tell you again at the bottom of this interview. It's called I Am the Dream, and each of these young ladies has a piece in the anthology. And so if you could we just, I'd love to hear just one quick sentence or two sentences about the piece that is your piece that's in the anthology. And this time we're going to start with Jolie.
So my story is about a girl who is pretty non-social in school, and she meets these other students who are nothing like her. They're all different in their own way. But a tragic event happens that causes them to all come together, and they try and figure out a way to get past this really hard obstacle. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Giselle.
My story is about two Latina women that both struggle with mental health in their own ways, and they come together to work through it.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and so just a quick question. So Giselle, the women you're talking about, are they like adult women or young, like older or parent age?
They're in their 20s.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. We're dealing with serious issues here. And Mariah?
My story follows a high school age girl named Morelli, and she's starting high school. She's super excited, and her pretty evil history teacher throws her back into different events in history. So she's basically just trying to get home. Okay,
that sounds super exciting. So anyone who's listening and watching, I just want you to take note of these stories, because all these are stories I am so excited to read, and just keep that in mind. We'll tell you about the anthology again at the end. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Write Your Story program, and then I'd love to hear a little more about your process and your own writing. So let's see, Julie, could you tell us a little about what drew you to the Write Your Story program, and what have been your favorite things to write so far?
So actually, I mainly lived in like communities where it was mostly Caucasians, I guess. I was usually the only girl of color around friends and stuff. So when I found out this group was made for just girls of color, I was like, this is my chance, to meet other girls who are like me. And, I don't really hear much about girls of color who write. And I think I felt like this would have been like a very inspirational and a lot of like a really big learning experience to help me learn more about writing, enhance my writing, all the above. So, yeah.
Great. And I would love for anyone to jump in if you sort of feel like, yeah, I've got something to say about that. But just a little follow-up question for Jolie. What do you feel like has been the difference, like being in a group of all girls of color? And then Mariah and Giselle, like, feel free to, add on anytime.
I've actually got to know a bunch of different background stories that, there's a difference between what girls of color go to, even at our age, like a young age that we shouldn't be going through, versus Caucasian girls who it's just like there's such a big difference in it. And I was glad to know that all these different scenarios I was glad to learn. There we go. I was glad to learn about these because I just feel like it was very interesting. And I feel like it should be known, like what these girls are going through. So, yeah.
Mariah, I saw you nodding, and I saw Giselle nodding too. So, Mariah, I'd love to hear what you think about that issue.
Yeah, I really want to echo what Jolie was saying. And I think that in school, since I did attend predominantly white institutions, I kind of felt closed off and I didn't really talk about certain issues because like fear that no one else would understand what I was going through as a biracial teen. So coming to this program in Cinnamongirl, I found people who shared the same experiences as me, and we were just able to talk through it and just connect, which was really awesome.
Yeah, it's, I've always felt like when I'm with other Asian women or other women of color, I definitely feel like I can just relax just a little bit more. Giselle, what do you think, or do you have anything to add?
I don't really have anything to add. I think I completely agree with what Jolie and Mariah say, and I can completely understand what they are going through. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And actually, while we're talking to you, how about you? What drew you to the program? Unless maybe it's all the same thing for everyone. I don't. Yeah.
For me, I had written a story about mental health, and my teacher read it, and she said that this should be published, and she gave me Cinnamongirl because she knew I would love it, and I decided to join it, and I was really excited.
Awesome. Thanks. Well, I'm glad people know about it. And how about you, Mariah?
From a young age, I would always write a lot of just mini stories, and mostly they were based on me having a dog because I was trying to convince my parents to get a dog. So I would write stories about that. And I think as I got older, I started to think that my voice didn't really matter because I had nothing really to say. So finding Cinnamongirl and really them helping me draw my voice out has really impacted my life, and I'm really thankful for them.
Yeah. I think I was going to ask you a little bit more about the Write Your Story program, but now I'm really interested in your own personal writing experiences with writing. So this is a common question that authors often get, which is, are you someone who plans out and outlines and brainstorms and does a lot of like preparation, or are you someone who's what's called like an exploratory writer? Do you just kind of write and figure things out as you go along? How about Mariah?
I think at the beginning, I always have a plan. Whatever I'm doing, I write it down, make sure everything's in order. But as I got started, I realized that while it's good to have a plan, sometimes I veer off, and that's a good thing. And that's when some of the best scenes I think came through, when I just kind of let go. So I do tend to plan, but also I like when I can just sit down and not really think about the rules.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just kind of let it flow, let it go. How about you, Julie?
I would consider I'm an exploratory writer. When I start writing something and I get like a really good start, I just get into this mode where I keep on going and I can't stop writing. And those are also where I get like my best moments out of the book. And I keep on going and don't stop. So yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm someone who struggles to like let that happen. So I think that's just amazing to be able to just channel that creativity and let it all come out. How about you, Giselle?
Personally, I'm a planner, so I like to write everything that I want in the story. Like with the anthology, I had Post-its everywhere of what I wanted, and I pretty much just put everything that I want out, and then I go from there and try to connect it.
That's cool. Yeah, I have a lot of friends who do, they have like sort of beats they want to hit. And then in between, like you sort of like, so in between those like planned moments is where you like kind of let that go and go from one to the other. So have you ever experienced, Giselle, kind of what Mariah was talking about, where you think you've got it planned out and then you're writing and you're like, no, maybe let's try going this way, or let's try going that way?
Yeah, I have. As much as I like to plan things out, I do kind of change gears, I guess, and just switch into whatever feels right for the story.
Yeah. And have you ever, any of you had the experience of finishing the story and then like during your revision thinking this has to go or this has to change completely? And maybe you could talk a little bit about that for anyone who's just listening to hear advice about writing. Giselle, let's start with you again.
Sometimes I get really in the mood with my writing, so I'll just write whatever, and then I'll reread it and I'll be like, this makes no sense. This does not fit the story. So then I'll have to like revise it. So yeah, I do go through that sometimes, but yeah.
And Mariah, can you tell us about are there any difficult scenes you've had to cut, or scenes or things you've had to change that you had to struggle with coming to terms to cutting?
I think most of the stuff that I really wanted is in there. It's just kind of paring down certain paragraphs with like a lot of detail, because I really like describing what's around my character at that time. And I think while some of that is good, a lot of it just gets kind of too much. And like the first thing I wrote when I started writing the story, I just cut it because like Giselle said, it just didn't fit. And I think that's the beauty of writing, is just writing something and then kind of analyzing it and coming back to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that analysis ends up being a really good skill, I think. It's helped me become a better reader as well, actually. And then Julie, how about you? Can you tell us about something you've had to change or cut or add?
I do often have to go back and take out some stuff. Often what I do is that I'll carry on a conversation for too long, or it goes nowhere. And I feel like that's what makes the story really boring and stops the reader from paying attention to it and liking it. So what I do is I try to add, like, I have multiple climaxes in my story. That way, that trying to get to the biggest climax, I'll have a bunch of ups and downs to get there to grasp the reader's attention throughout the story. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great way, I think, of just building that excitement as you go. Yeah, I love that. And so now that you're talking about this idea of like learning what to cut, what to add. Sorry, I'm just going to throw in a little writing nugget that I've heard about scenes and dialogues, because I often let my dialogues go on too long too. And they say this about screenwriting too, which is like enter late and leave early, right? I love, and that's something I like to keep in mind when I write, because I often come in early and stay too long. Thinking of like sort of speaking of these nuggets, can you tell us about a little bit about your experiences with your writing coaches? Because every girl in the program is paired with a coach who, you work together to look at your writing and improve your writing. And let's see, Jolie, could you tell us a little bit about maybe the general experience and a little bit about your personal experience?
I actually loved having coaches for our writing. I don't know about everybody else, but for me, what we first did with our first meeting, we really got to know each other. And what Miss Renee, the organizer of Cinnamongirl, she paired us up by personality with our coaches. And, to have someone who's just like me is kind of like really cool and it's really great. So I feel like that's also another factor that really helps me. But yeah, I feel like it's a great way to help you edit before, turning in your drafts or whatever. They help us with revisions and stuff, like with grammar, say if they think, this needs to be more descriptive or less descriptive, they don't just, this needs to be more descriptive. They give us ideas and ways that we can change it. And really, it's helped me turn in my drafts on time too. So yeah, I think having my writing coach was really, really helpful, and I really enjoyed it.
Cool. How about you, Mariah?
Yeah, I simply adore my writing coach. And like Jolie was saying, Miss Renee really paired us well, because there was a few times where we kind of sat back and we were thinking, we're pretty much the same person, but just with a big age gap, which is awesome. And she was really patient when she was helping me edit. And she really took time to explain why certain things probably wouldn't fit and just how to make it better so I can create the best story that is possible. So I really am thankful for her.
How did you get paired up? Did Miss Renee just sort of know who you were and know who they were, or did you do a questionnaire or something? Giselle, can you talk a little bit about that? Or is it a mystery?
I honestly, it slipped my mind. I cannot remember if we had to take a questionnaire or not. But I know that Miss Renee did take a lot of time to get to know us, and I think she probably did the same with the coaches, and she just did a really good job at pairing us with someone who was just like us in older form, I guess. I don't know if that's rude, but with a different age gap. She just did very well pairing, and I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, cool. And what's one thing, Giselle, that you learned from your coach? It can be just a writing lesson or a life lesson, just one thing that you remember. Or yeah.
She taught me to not be afraid to like hold back, I guess. No, I'm so sorry. She told me she helped me be able to not hold back. She let me like express myself, and she really helped me just be creative. And yeah.
That's great. I think it's so hard sometimes. It's easy to not want to put everything out there on the page, right? It's to be afraid that it's not going to be good enough or boring, and it takes some practice and encouragement to really lay it all out there. And that's when you find the good stuff, often, I find. How about you, Mariah? What's one lesson that you remember, or an experience?
She actually helped me with word choice. So how certain words, even if they are synonyms, one can fit better than the other and it can just convey the point so much better. And I think that's what really makes my story great, is that I chose words that really fit what I'm trying to say, and just the reader knows what's going on, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Word choice is super important. Like it can make a huge difference, right? Even though like it's just one word sometimes. How about you, Jolie? Something like
My coach had actually helped me more with description, like at first, but then my first draft, I was very blunt with describing my characters, and I feel like character description and development is like very important. So she taught me how to, put in looks and introduce the characters throughout conversations and stuff like that. But she told like I can't put too much descriptions because then that doesn't let the reader's imagination run as much. And it's kind of like me as a reader, I feel like I also need room to let my imagination grow and not just base it off like, oh, like the exact details of everything. But I feel like that really helped me in my story. Like it helped in many ways, not just pulling the reader's attention, but letting their imagination run. It was also like we had word count and whatever. So we also helped me, pull my word count more. And it just helps with like a lot of different factors.
So when you say that was that something you struggled with, word count? Is that, or did you write too much or not enough, or can you tell us about that?
I actually wrote too much. So I went way above the word count, and that was because I did put too much description in it. So she really helped me, dive down with it, and that let the reader's imagination run a little bit more. And I feel like it was actually better after I took out a bunch of the description. But yeah. Mm-hmm.
And was that something you could see right away, or did that take a while for you?
I kind of saw it, yet I kind of chose to avoid it, I guess. I thought it sounded more sophisticated, but sounding more sophisticated isn't the goal of your story. It's how you want it to sound. And it wasn't meant to sound sophisticated. I just thought I sounded more professional. But yeah, yeah.
That is that is a huge thing, I think, for new writers to get over, like this sort of sense of like, I want to sound this way, and that can get in the way sometimes. So I'm like, you are so far ahead of so many grown-up writers I know, let me tell you. So good for you. How about you, Mariah? Was there something that you had to figure out how to do, like grow as a writer, or it's a lot like, not just maybe just the lesson that you learned from your teacher, or your coach. How do you think you've grown?
I think like Jolie was saying, my first draft was kind of just putting some big words in there and making it sound very advanced, but just I don't want to use the word basic, but certain, like I said earlier, word choice is more important than just sounding the smartest I can sound. And I learned that. And also I learned a lot about creating suspense. So my first draft was kind of just like a straight line, but then I kind of started to create like a squiggly line. So you'd be on the edge of your seat and then it would be better. And then, because that's what I enjoy reading. So I really want to provide that to the reader who's reading my story.
Yeah, super important. Also a lesson that a lot of adult writers I know of, actually, that's not really fair to say. They're not writers that I know, but that I know that there are adult writers who haven't learned that lesson yet. How about you, Giselle? How do you feel like you've grown as a writer?
I kind of the same as both of them. I really liked trying to sound really smart. And I realized that in order to sound smart, you don't have to use big words. You just have to, I guess, be yourself and just put yourself out there. And that really helped me to learn.
this is me just making stuff up as I go, but I feel like girls like you who are intelligent and bright and sort of, like ambitious, are really trying to show the world just how smart you are, because, it's, as it's sometimes often more difficult for girls of color to be taken seriously. Right. And I think, and as a writer, it's tempting to be using all those big words. But yeah, I think I've learned that I don't know, East Asians have like a different thing, because a lot of people expect East Asians to be like super brainy and smart. So it's this whole other weird thing, but I don't know. Yeah, it's wonderful to be able to experiment with vocabulary. And I think you all are in a place now where, like, I know I'm smart. I need you to know I'm smart. And, but then you also have to be authentic too, right? I think that can be, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like showing your true self? Was that something you had to think about as a writer, or did that, or as a human being even? I'd love to hear a comment on that from Giselle. Are you ready for that one?
Could you repeat it again so I can have a good answer?
That's all right. I know I was kind of rambling. This question sort of came into my head, half formed. I'd love to hear about your thoughts on this tension between knowing how smart you are and wanting to like put that intelligence on the paper, for example, and showing how authentic, like your authentic self. You were just talking about that. You're saying you don't have to use big words to show that you're smart, but you also have to show that you're authentic. And how do you balance those two?
I think that, like you said, just be authentic and write what comes to mind, and don't I don't know the word I'm trying to use, censor. Don't censor things. Just be yourself, and just write whatever comes to mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What do you think, Mariah?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to be like someone other than yourself, then that's really boring, because you are very interesting and unique. And I think that people should see that. So just stay true to you, write what you want to write, like Giselle said, and don't really worry about anything else besides that.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Julie?
What I feel like is that a lot of writers try to go for what's popular right now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like don't do that, because when that goes out of style, you're going to be like, oh, what is going on? So I naturally try to go out of the norm. I don't like being the same as everybody else. So I always try to do something different. I like being special. And if it matches your personality to be the norm or basic, then go for it, add a little twist. But if I feel like there's something everybody's different, and there's something in you that you can put in your story that people have never saw before, Mm-hmm. I feel like it's very important to do out of the norm, because I feel like that brings more attention to yourself and your writing. So.
Oh, I also wanted to add that no one has lived the exact life you have lived. So you can bring in some of your own experiences. And I think that's just much better than doing, like Jolie said, what's popular, because it really doesn't matter in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's kind of just a general life lesson, right? It's just so important to be yourself and not chase after what you think other people want or expect from you necessarily. And I'm just so impressed with all three of you, by the way. I just want to put that out there. These are life lessons. I'm telling you, just, you're so mature as writers and as people. And I am just completely impressed. So just take that and with you. And I'm hearing from you that you are very thoughtful people. And it sounds like you have some good mentoring. And so with that, if you can tell us about a challenge? It could be a writing challenge. It could be something that affected your writing from the outside. What challenges have you faced this year? And it could be something you're still facing, could be something you've overcome already. Jolie, let's start with you.
So honestly, I was really scared with what type of genre I was doing with my book. So I was doing like a thriller type thing, which I never thought of myself to write. But when I started doing it, I kind of, like I said, I just went into it and it wasn't planned and it just worked. But I felt scared about people's reactions to it. You know, we were separated into groups based on genre. And I was like, when we went into the Zoom and we started reading each other's stories, I was like so scared. I was like, well, people react, but it was like the complete opposite reaction of what I thought it was. And it does not affect me anymore. I'm way more confident in my work, actually. And yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like that first time sharing your writing was scary. And when you say people reacted differently than how you expected, how did they react?
I got like a lot of support. There was a lot of compliments and everybody was so excited to continue reading it. And that only motivated me to like keep on doing it and try to get better. So
that's awesome. Giselle, how about you? A writing challenge or a outside writing challenge?
I kind of had writer's block for a while. I just couldn't think of what to add into my story and how to make it interesting. I just completely ran out of ideas. So my coach really helped me with that. But that was something that was really hard for me, and it really frustrated me not being able to work on it because I just couldn't think of anything. But eventually I overcame that.
Yeah. And do you have any tips? Did your coach just kind of brainstorm with you, or did she give you ways to work around writer's block?
Yeah, you just like brainstorming. You just put anything down and just work with that.
Mm-hmm. It can be tough. I've definitely faced that before. So good for you. Good for you for getting over it. How about you, Mariah?
I actually have two things. One is kind of similar to Giselle's. I just kind of couldn't think of anything to make the story better. And I usually people watch when I'm in public, and that kind of gives me ideas. But since we've been at home during COVID, I haven't really done that. So I've kind of just been watching TV and reading a lot of books, just to see like mannerisms and how I can incorporate that. And also, I think I have the whole story I want to tell in my brain, but I feel like I think other people can see exactly what I'm seeing, so there's no need to kind of draw it out. But I'm realizing that like I need to give more to the reader so that they can let their imagination run wild.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like this idea of something in your head that you think other people see?
Yeah, I think that I have the whole story in my mind, and it's hard for me to put everything I want to onto paper because I just think, oh, it's not necessary because the reader already sees that. And my peers who read the story, I think I asked them, did you see this in the story? And they were kind of like confused. And that's because I didn't really do a good job of explaining it. So I think what's helpful is I learned this in a master class, just to put the story away and then act like you're the reader and then see where the gaps are and kind of fill those in.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. That's great advice. I actually, I just recently submitted a draft to my agent, and she sent it back with like a bajillion questions, like, how did these two meet? And what's her relationship with this guy? And I was like, isn't it obvious? But yes, sometimes not everything in your head makes it onto the paper. It's like the opposite problem of Jolie's almost. It sounds like, I don't know. Am I making that up? So So let's see. We've covered this already, but do you have a favorite memory of the program, either with other people or just a moment when you felt like you got that writing together, or from a class, master class? Let's start with Mariah this time.
I think my favorite moment by far is the sister chat we had in December for the holidays. And all three of us, we kind of put together some games and just some fun ways we could spend time with our sisters. And it was really fun. We had a lot of laughs, and I just really enjoyed that day.
Cool. How about Giselle?
I was pretty much going to say the same thing as Mariah. I think just creating these bonds with the girls, like they became like sisters, and it was just really fun being able to get to know everyone and just having something in common, which is writing. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I saw Julie nodding her head. Yes, yes, yes. Do you want to add anything? Do you want to just?
I'll add. It's pretty much similar. I have like a whole bunch of different places. Like sometimes, like with the sister chats, we get like leadership roles or whatever, but we'll get to like talk or whatever. And then if you get to sign up, you have like these meetings beforehand and you get to meet the girls, which all three of us are a part of. And, out of that, we got closer connections with some of the girls. Like, me and Mariah started texting and me and Giselle started texting, and it's really, I think it's really special that this like happens, because you get to meet new people who are like you and you share a lot of like experiences. But not only do the sister chats help, I really like it when we have like our meetings with like our master classes, like with a certain author or anybody who's been in the writing area, because it gives us a lot of tips and about writing and stuff. But there's a lot of positivity like within the was car or whatever. Like we usually sometimes we'll go in games with even with that, we'll do warm-ups, we'll get to share, we get to introduce ourselves and learn about the author too. It's the whole organization altogether is like super fun. So
all right. Yeah, I've just worked with Cinnamongirl just a little bit on the edges, and I have really been impressed with and just blown away by like the sisterhood of between the girls in each of your cohorts and stuff. And I just think you guys are all awesome. And we're just going to do one more quick little thing. Speaking of sisterhood, if you have read or remember anybody else's piece in the anthology, I'm going to give you just a couple seconds and just shout it out so that anyone who's listening can be like, not only do these three wonderful people have amazing pieces in the anthology, but there's other ones too. So Mariah, who can you recommend?
Definitely in my peer review, I had Chariot, and her story is also historical fiction. I had Renee, and her story is a kind of like a little memoir. And then also Layla's is. And I just want to recommend all three of them because they're really real and they're honest. And I just really enjoyed reading them and helping them make it better.
Awesome. Jolie.
I was going to say Chariots too. I think I have to take, because I haven't read everybody's yet. I think Renee's, maybe. Renee.
Okay.
Really good one.
Awesome. How about you, Giselle? Any recommendations? Or you can second anybody else's?
I would say Ella. Their story was really good, and it was just filled with like emotional pieces, and it was just overall really good.
All right. So everybody, you've heard this. I am so excited for this anthology, which is coming out this fall. And we're just about ready to wrap up. I'm so honored to be interviewing you wonderful girls. So thank you very much, Giselle, Mariah, and Jolie, for today's conversation. And I want to let everyone know that the Write Your Story anthology is titled I Am the Dream. It will be published in the fall. So you can go to the Cinnamongirl website and subscribe to their newsletter if you want to just stay up to date on that. Feel free to donate to this amazing program and keep supporting these wonderful girls and their writing dreams. You've been watching the Bay Area Book Festival. And please visit the schedule events page to see all the other great conversations that we're having in this virtual festival. And if you haven't already, you can still buy my book through Green Apple Books. So this time will be different, and Love and Other Natural Disasters, you can pre-order that. Thank you very much, Green Apple Books. And don't forget to tune in for tomorrow's program with Girl Warriors and award-winning authors Meg Medina and Olugbemisola Rude Perkovic. Have a great day, everyone.